Welcome back to the Stressful to Successful podcast with your co-host, Tiffany Chasson, and myself, Jaden D'Amico. On our previous episode, we sat down with the one and only Brent Wilsey from Wilsey Asset Management located in San Diego, California. This gentleman went off the hook when it came to investment advice, real estate advice, what the difference is between an asset and a liability, all these things that I feel like everybody should really get a grip on and understand and learn. And if you're just tuning in right now and you have no idea what you're doing with your life when it comes to financials, you might want to go backwards on this and listen to what Brent has to say, because it's absolutely amazing.
The cool thing about Brent as well is if it's not your learning style to learn from like a textbook or to learn from, a YouTube video, he does a lot of different types of platforms. He has his own podcast, a radio show. So whatever you like to do, if you like to listen in the car, if you like to have something on the big screen, there's a lot of different ways you can hear from this guy.
He was on Dr. Phil, not once, but twice. And I think he's going to go on there more. He's met presidents. This guy has really put himself out there. I think it reminds me a lot about myself, actually.
I will say we asked him quite a few questions about why we started, honestly, like questions that we had when we started this podcast, all about like, how do you network? No one teaches you in college or in high school or whatever how to network or how to, get your dream job or whatever it may be. And I will say the one big word of last week's podcast episode was hard work. He didn't do anything. He was very strategic. Nothing came easy to him. He started selling vacuum cleaners in college to pay for stuff.
I forgot about that.
So he was all about hard work. And the cool thing too is we were kind of like, I think it really comes down to how you carry yourself. And I think we really realized that not only have we seen that in real life, but people that are super successful and, have learned a lot throughout their lifetime, how important it was for him. If he didn't dress the part or he didn't carry himself a certain way, he wouldn't be where he is today.
That's the thing that I want to touch base on. Dress to impress, right?
Better to be overdressed than underdressed.
100%. If you're going out to just going out on the town, dress amazing. You never know who you're going to meet. Have your suit, tie on, whatever it means. You dress to impress 100% of the time. If you're going to go out to a dinner with a lady, of course, you're going to dress to impress her. So wouldn't you dress that way as a man or as a woman even, dress to impress, because you never know who you're going to meet in public at any given time.
And it also helps with your confidence too, because I don't know about you, but even if it's not like, I don't need to spend hours getting ready, but if I'm wearing like something I feel confident in, or I did my hair that day, or maybe I just, did my skincare routine and got 8 hours of sleep, I feel way more confident in conversation with people than if I just rolled out of bed and like brushed my teeth and like had no time to get ready.
Yeah, right on. It's all about making yourself feel good. Like going to the gym. I love mentioning the gym. I went to the gym today. Did you go to the gym today? Didn't think so.
I got off an 11-hour flight yesterday and I made it to the gym this morning.
Yeah, see? She went to Europe, came back, and here she is still. Amazing. So let's see here. Brent Wilsey. This gentleman is absolutely inspirational. He built something out of absolutely nothing. And what I've learned a lot is a lot of success comes from luck.
And from learning and from failing a bunch of times and learning from it.
Yes, 100%. Failing a bunch of times and learning from it. I mean, think to yourself how many times you failed and what you've learned from those things, no matter what it may be. Business, relationship.
Whatever. Mm-hmm. Brent was definitely telling us how when he started out on his own, when he decided to have his own asset management company, it's scary. When you don't have the backbone, he was working at a bank previously in their asset management department, but when you don't have the backbone of a big corporation and you're doing it yourself and trying to get your first client or 2 or 3, it's scary to put yourself out there. It's basically like you going on 100 first dates, trying to sell people not your company, but who you are, getting people to trust you. And it's not a walk in the park.
That's generally what business is. You're selling yourself. Like if you're a model, you're selling yourself based on your appearance, right? But behind the scenes there, you need to really know how to network, just like anything, any business line. Learn how to network yourself. Go out and meet people. Learn how to have a conversation. Key points right here, from what we've learned and what I've sort of developed over the years. These key points are this. Number one, if you're going out somewhere, of course, dress to impress. Right, Tiff?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Number two, hold yourself higher than everybody else. Not in a douchebaggy kind of way, though. Okay?
I think what you mean more so is like when people are in certain rooms and you can feel that they're not supposed to be there? Like you can feel that they don't have the confidence or that they're like kind of keeping to themselves. It's almost like a fake it till you make it sort of situation. Like you have it going on. Like you have that personality. You don't really get nervous from what I've seen versus I'm kind of the opposite where people may think I'm outgoing, but internally I'm freaking out. My mind is like, oh my gosh, like what are people going to think of me? Like all this, like I think you've definitely done more work on it than I have where you don't really care as much about what people think of you in terms of, like does he like my outfit? Like the stuff that doesn't really matter. Like I feel like maybe it's girls or maybe it's just me, but I feel like we tend to care more about like the little voices in our head. But I think what it is sometimes you just have to fake it till you make it and be like, okay, maybe I'm not the most confident. Maybe I don't like the way I look, or maybe, I don't feel like I'm intelligent, whatever. You need to pretend that you were the baddest bitch in the room. You're going to carry yourself. Your shoulders are going to be back. It doesn't even matter what you're wearing, but like you look put together. Your outfit matches. Your shoes match your outfit. You've brushed your hair. You've styled yourself. You look awake. You don't look like you're hungover or, you're not like excessively drunk if it's like a setting where you're drinking or, whatever. Because a lot of these networking events, there's alcohol. You just want to make sure that you're not sloppy.
Don't overdo it.
Overdo it when you're home or when you're like not trying to impress people. Well, you should always be trying to impress people, but especially at networking events. And so Brent was saying like sometimes you just have to walk into a room and just spark conversation with people and let them talk. Hear them out, but don't let that nervous energy make you feel so small.
100%. I want to tell a story. I like that, Tiff, by the way. So, story time. So, how I came out of the box. I'm going to put that out there.
We first explain what that means.
Sure. So, when I was a kid, I was very quiet. Never really had a father figure to show me, how to be a man. Never really had the good family background, like maybe some of you have or haven't, or whatever it may be relate to. What this gentleman, his name was, or is, his name is Travis Daniels. Okay. We called him Trap with 2 P's, Trapp. He was a rapper. He introduced me to rap music. He was also a Marine, and, he had kids and very, very, very cool guy. Anyway, the story goes like this. He goes, Jaden, that's me, of course. He goes, you're really quiet. You need to get out there more. You need to like talk more and be more outgoing. I know you have it in you. I'm like, well, I'm nervous. I don't know how to start conversations out of nowhere with people. I don't know how to do these things. He was like, you know what we're going to do? We're going to the mall. And I was like 14, 15 years old. Okay. We hopped in his Chrysler 300 that had 22-inch rims blasting music. It was awesome. We got to the mall, and we go into the mall, and he goes, all right, you see that woman right there? I want you to walk up to her and start conversation. So I'd go over there and walk up to the girl and stand there as she walks by and say, "You're beautiful." And then
never told me this.
She'd keep walking, and then he'd go, "Keep going." I think you're really pretty. And so half the time they didn't even hear what I was saying, until one moment, "Hey, you're really pretty." She stopped and said, "Oh, thank you." And I was in absolute like frozen mode. I was like, "Okay, have a good day." And so from that moment I've learned, all right, well, that clearly doesn't work for one, talking to females and looking back on it for, even trying to meet people in reality here. So over time I started developing like a certain skill where it was like, I kind of liked rapping. I hung out with Trap, and we started rapping together. And now I was like, okay, well, now I'm going to put myself in other situations where I'm sort of forced to put myself on the spot. So I started freestyling, and we would go back to the mall, and I would pick the most like gangster looking dudes in the mall with their crew and all that. And I would just go up to them, little 14, 15-year-old skinny white boy Jaden. Hey, you want a battle? Want a rap battle? And they would start laughing. And then guess what I would do? I would kill them. Verbally just slaughter their butts. Just blow them out of the parks. And like people were starting to join in. And I started feeling for what this feels like to be kind of like the main man in the room. And it feels really good, right? So it got me to open myself up a lot more, thanks to him, with simply going to an open area and starting to just talk to strangers. You know, when we grow up, we're always taught, come home when the street lights are on, or don't talk to strangers. Well, that didn't really get people too far. And so...
well, I think it depends, Jaden. I think for men as well, it's a little different. But yes, I think there has to be like a happy medium. Yes, don't talk to strangers that look scary, please. But I think that it's also been an excuse for people to stay in their circles, not talk to new people. Like how many new friends have you made this year? Like that's an interesting question to ask people, because at least for me, and I think for both of us, like I think, yes, you want to protect your peace and not have people in your life that don't want the best for you, but that doesn't mean like not opening yourself up to new opportunities, meeting new people, like-minded people, or even just people that may have different opinions than you, but at least it opens up your mindset to different beliefs.
Yes.
You know, like different, like it's, conversation doesn't always mean that you have to be agreeing with each other, and doesn't mean you have to be arguing either. Like you can have a civil conversation and entertain completely different ideas. And I think that's where society goes wrong. Is for people who are like, only if you agree with like you can have friends that don't necessarily have the same political beliefs, or, you know, you spend your money differently, but you still might have some commonality and you learn from them. You know, you have a more well-rounded, you know, understanding of the world and how the universe works. But I do think, you know, a lot of people are closed off.
Have those friends that back you up and push you for greatness. You know, go out, meet new people.
Like, why are you so scared? Like, why are people, well, I say this, but I feel like people are just scared. You're really good at this, but people are just scared of like getting rejected. And that's a big thing. Like whether you're putting yourself out there on a first date, or just, you know, trying to meet a new friend in a city you're new in, like it is scary putting yourself out there. But what Jaden has taught me is that you'll never see them again. Like who cares? You know, like who cares?
I use this analogy. If you're parked at a stop sign or a stoplight, whatever it may be, if you're parked at a stop sign or stoplight, whatever it may be, and you see someone that looks kind of odd or dressed interestingly, or someone that you would typically like not want to hang out with, or they're homeless or whatever it may be, and it kind of makes you feel, why are they doing that as they walk by? Like
judgy a little?
Like you start to judge. It's a natural instinct for humans, I guess, to judge people, whatever. So you see this interesting fella walking across the street. You know, you recognize him, or you don't recognize him. You acknowledge his existence for that term of that stoplight until you're on to the next, and then the next. 2 or 3 stoplights from then, you've already seen something else, and that was 3 stoplights ago news. So what is stopping you from going out and meeting new like-minded individuals, or spreading your wings and flying, or doing anything that you'd like to do with your entire life?
And you know what that's called, guys? Networking. Not all relationships have to be networking, but that's also how to network as well, is just putting yourself out there. So that's our personal and business mind growth little advice there. And Brent definitely was talking about how did he get himself in the right rooms? Well, you know, he started building something, working really, really hard, and he said yes to every opportunity, whether he felt comfortable in that situation or not. He would show up to work in a suit and tie, even though everyone else was wearing dark denim and, you know, a collared shirt without a tie, because who's going to make fun of you for being overdressed? The people that are underdressed. Mm-hmm. That's who.
Yep. Absolutely. I mean, you said that like he started just meeting random people and kind of doing his own thing, and Okay. What had happened was with Brent, what he had said in the beginning of the previous episode. I asked him about his radios, like his shows and things like that. And he was just dressed real nice, went to a networking event or of some sort. And someone was like, "Hey, how do you feel about being on the radio?" And he goes, "Well, I've never thought about it, but sure." There, boom. Yes to everything, right? Okay, hold this point. Thing was done. He goes back home to his wife and he goes, "Hey, it was on the show. Did you see it? Yeah. What'd you think?" He goes, or his wife goes, "You sucked." Boom, shot down. Accepted something. There was a yes. Boom, society shot him down, his wife. But did he stop? No. He didn't freaking stop. He kept doing it. And now look at him.
He's been doing it for like 30, 40 years now.
Yeah. If you're an artist and you don't know how to draw a nose or a pair of ears, are you just going to give it one shot and stop? Sure. If you're a loser. But
if you don't have the passion for it, Jaden. Let's not be mean.
If you have the passion to pick up the pen and begin something, there's passion right there. Finish.
And that's where our work ethic comes in. And I think a lot of people our age don't know, like lost it a long time ago, because people are used to like Amazon, for instance. When you order something, I've ordered stuff at like 11 o'clock at night and it came at 10 a.m. Like overnight, it just showed up to my door. That's not normal. Like that did not happen when our parents were growing up. So we're just used to instantaneous success, instantaneous results. And that's not normal. That's not real life. Like you don't go out into the career field after you've graduated school and expect to have a job that you're the president, CEO of, Apple, except for me.
Yeah.
And it's like, I think people just expect that they are like, what did Brent say? He said, what was that term? He said, people are like they're quiet quitters. And basically, if you didn't listen to last week's episode, definitely take a listen. But basically what that is people still have their job, are still getting paid, but are not working. Like they are at the job, either remote or in person, and just going through the motions, but not really working at all. But they're still like there. They're still technically working, but
this is selling themselves out.
But it's a very interesting. No, but it's basically because what he said was the argument of, well, pay us more if you want us to work harder. It's like, that's not how it works. You work hard and then you get promoted. You don't get promoted for doing nothing to hopefully have you work.
I actually want to make a point on this. I'm sure we all have friends or family members who complain about their wages. Even maybe you. You can't go and say these things like, my boss isn't paying me more. My boss. My job sucks. It's not paying me enough. You can't say those things because it is up to you. Freaking said yes to this wage. If you want to get something bigger and better, go somewhere else.
Or impress them and get a raise.
Bam. Stop complaining. It's extremely useless.
But working less hard is not going to get you paid more. That makes no sense. That's what people are doing. They're like, oh, well, I'm not getting paid enough for the shop anyways, and I'm bored, so I'm just going to go online and shop or, do whatever. And I'm like, in theory, that makes no sense. Because why would someone be rewarding you for you not doing your job? Like, why would you get promoted if you're not doing your job that you were paid to do?
This is not going to happen.
Which was a very interesting concept that Brent brought up. I've never heard of that term before, but I've heard of the concept for sure. Let's talk about investments, because I thought Brent had some very interesting insights. The number one word, research. Like he was saying, like people, here's the issue with investing in stocks, investing in literally anything you want to invest in, especially in our age. What do you want to invest in? Like if I were to ask you like, okay, here's a list of 500 stocks, random. Which one would you pick? You would pick the 3D printer. You would pick like the up and coming, like whatever it may be, like the cool hip like stock to pick.
Or the most expensive.
Or just the most exciting. The most exciting thing, like, oh, this brand is really hip, or they're up and coming, or this new technology. But there's been very little research on half this technology, half of these new companies. You don't know what their margins in. Have you looked at their reports? Have you seen what their revenue is like in the past 12 months? No. You're just like, oh, that looks cool. I would love a 3D printer in my house. You know, you're not like actually investing in it smartly or just investing in it because when people ask you, your friends, oh, what did you invest in this month? And you're like, well, I invested in this cool company and that cool company, but you're probably not going to see a return.
Tell me about it. Tell me about the company. Oh, I don't know.
I don't know. They do some cool stuff.
Yeah, they do some, you know.
I can print myself with a nice ring.
Everyone else says it's cool. I'm going to buy it. Okay, so just to recap here. If you are going to buy a property or if you are going to buy a stock, you need to do 10 to 15 hours of research of minimum of that business, stock, house, or whatever. Reason being is this. Most people, what they'll do is they'll see something they purchase it, and then it fails and falls. The smart look for reasons to not buy the investment, to not buy the property. If you look for reasons to not buy the property
and there aren't any, then you're solid. Right?
Boom.
Because there's always reasons to invest. There will always be reasons for you to be like, oh yeah, this looks cool. Or I have money that I'm trying to invest and I don't know where to put it. Better to keep that in the bank than waste it, than gamble it. But it was interesting because he was talking about the number one assets that his company have are super boring. He's like, yeah, I could talk about it, but you're going to be bored. Like you're 20 somethings. Allstate insurance, hospitals, like things that like you wouldn't normally think like, oh, let's talk about that. But those have been steady and reliable income or reliable investments. The other interesting thing is we talked about there's probably been like 6 or 7 big impacts on the stock market or on investments as a whole, like all these, like a few crashes that have happened with COVID and like a bunch of other crashes. And we asked him what one impacted them the most and what he saw, like how long it took for things to get back to normal. And he said that they all impacted his business. But he said that if you invest in the right things, meaning you've done your research and you see that they have a certain revenue or you see the certain patterns, don't sell the stock once there's a crash, because then you're going to make way less money than it was worth. Because in a year or so, it will probably go back. If it was a good investment, it will probably reset and go back. So then what? You just sold your stock for 60, 70% off than what you paid for it. And then a year later, now it's tripled what you paid for it. That would suck. You lost all this money and you could have kept it in and you just got scared. And that's what he was saying, pretty much. Hard work and patience. You have to be patient. You can't expect like instant results, because the second something goes wrong, you bail out, you sell it, you do whatever. But then what? Then you just lost money and you could have kept it in and you could have earned your money back in a year or two. But you got scared and sold out. So I thought that was an interesting thing he was talking about, because a lot of people would just sell ASAP.
No matter what it was, property, homes,
ideas. Yeah, he also said that if you research properly, the best time to buy is actually when things are bad. If it's a good, relatively substantial company.
If you set yourself up right the first year, second year, and third year, if you're living below your means, if your rent's $2,000 and you're paying and you rent out one of the rooms and you're paying $1,000, whatever the math would be for your situation, you'll be better off in the next 3 years for the next crash, assuming there's a crash every 3 years. There's not, but this is hypothetical, okay? But
he was saying that like the best scenario, obviously during COVID too, is you having the means to purchase a house when just like the market crashes, right? Yeah. So like it's that sort of thing where it's obviously you want to be in a fortunate situation where you can take advantage of when things are quote unquote discounted, or
they're discounts on sales.
Basically, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Just prepare yourself for the terrible times so you can come out on top and everybody else is at the bottom. Okay?
Well, because it was kind of like what Brent was saying, how hospitals right now are doing so well. And so they've been focusing on investing in hospitals because we're always going to need hospitals. They're never going to go away. So right now they're discounted because they're having a hard time staffing the hospitals. There's been issues. But he knows in the long run, they're going to be a great investment because once the stock price goes back up, he's already bought in a ton of stock and he got them at a lower price. Now people are going to get on the bandwagon once they see, oh my gosh, hospitals are doing great again. But we all know that we need hospitals. They're not going away. They're not, just like we need insurance companies. Do we need 3D printers? Not really. Like if they went away, would we be able to survive as a nation? Yes. Like we need cell phones. Yes. We need internet. Yes. We need electricity, but we don't need 3D printers. And that's mostly what people our age are investing in. There's like 3D printers or like, I don't know if you remember, like when I was like 10 or 11, the iDogs. Do you remember those? They were like the dogs that would light up and they played music. I don't know what company that was, but
little inventions.
But people just like invest in like the things that they find cool. But if they're not going to be sustainable and you haven't done your research, you're just basically wasting your money.
Don't buy anything unless it's going to make money for you. You need to learn the differences between assets and liabilities. Just simply put.
Like he was saying, cryptocurrency. If you want to know his advice on that, I would check out last week's episode because it was very interesting. Because his job is basically to help inform people on what they should and shouldn't invest in, and he helps them add to their portfolio. And so he's got a lot of knowledge on this sort of stuff. And
look him up.
Yeah, you should look him up.
Brent Wilsey, Wilsey Asset Management. And you can follow us, of course, on every damn streaming platform there is out there in the entire world. And
you definitely need to take a look at last week's episode because we both learned a lot. Like we were both very intrigued about, I think we asked, in this particular episode, we asked a lot of questions that we as listeners would want to listen to or want to hear about how to network, how to get your foot in the door, how to get to where you want to be. What, like if you're in you feel like you hit rock bottom or you're in a tough place, how to get yourself out of that. Does that mean like life is over, quote unquote, in terms of financial stuff? Like how do you pick yourself back up and, put yourself in rooms that may be uncomfortable, but what to do when you're feeling a certain way and how to maximize your success.
Lovely put. Listen, you can find us, of course, on every streaming platform. Stressful to Successful. Share this with your buddies. Share this with your friends. Share this with people who you feel as though need to get off their rear end and get something done. What I like to do is I like to share the videos that I post or podcast to my own personal Facebook page or something and give me something to look back on later to remind me that these guys are doing great and I'm not.
We also have clips of all of our episodes on socials. So if you want to send them like your friends a quick blurb of something that you thought was insightful from our episode, you can definitely do that too, whether it's on Facebook, TikTok, Instagram, you name it. And we will see you next week.